Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are bringing you a brand new explainer that is just absolutely packed with incredible history. We're going to embark on an epic, century-long saga tracing the journey of literally the most successful football nation in history, Brazil's national football team. From its pretty aristocratic beginnings to the vibrant, pulsing streets of Rio, we'll explore how a sport that was invented in the cold, damp fields of England found its true, pulsating soul in South America. Okay, let's dive into this. What truly makes a football team legendary? I mean, is it just the number of shiny trophies they've hoisted? Is it the sheer jaw-dropping individual brilliance of their players? Or is it something deeper? A unique blend of cultural identity, glorious triumphs, and, well, devastating, heartbreaking losses. As you'll see, Brazil's story is the perfect, turbulent storm of all three. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with their origins, move right into early heartbreak and new colors, explore the famous golden era, analyze their major tactical shifts, celebrate the triumphant era of the 3Rs, and finally, look at their modern challenges. We are tracing this whole hero's journey from 1894 all the way to today. Chapter 1. The Origins, spanning from 1894 to the 1920s. Let's see how this beautiful game actually took root. What's really fascinating here is how incredibly fast the sport evolved. Football was actually introduced to Brazil in 1894 by a guy named Charles Miller. He arrived in São Paulo with literally just 2 footballs and a rulebook. Crazy, right? At first, it was restricted to these elite private clubs, but, it couldn't be contained for long. It quickly escaped those walls and found its true home in working-class communities and favelas. That is exactly where that uniquely Brazilian style of flair and improvisation was born. By 1914, they were already playing their first official match against England's Exeter City. And just 5 years later, in 1919, they captured their very first Copa America, led by Arthur Friedenreich, who was the sport's first great mixed-race star. Chapter 2, Heartbreak and New Colors. Now we're shifting into a period that will completely define a national tragedy. So, picture this. It's 1950. Brazil is hosting the World Cup. They built the absolutely colossal Maracanã Stadium, literally a temple to their ambitions. All they needed was a draw against Uruguay to be crowned champions. But in front of a staggering, expectant crowd of over 200,000 people, Uruguay scored late and won 2-1. This wasn't just a lost game. It was the Maracanazo. It was a profound trauma. The entire stadium fell into this deafening, ghostly silence. It triggered a period of genuine national mourning that scarred the country's cultural psyche for years. The psychological fallout from that loss was so intense that the national team actually felt their all-white kits were cursed. No joke, they felt they needed to completely reinvent their identity. So, through a national public contest in 1953, they abandoned the white entirely. Instead, they adopted the now legendary yellow, green, and blue uniforms. Those colors weren't random at all. They were carefully chosen to perfectly mirror the Brazilian flag. Chapter 3. The First Golden Era. The arrival of Pelé and a period of absolute, undeniable world dominance. Determined to never repeat the disaster of 1950, Brazil's 1958 squad prepared intensely. They brought a team psychologist, a dentist, and a strict list of 40 rules. But their ultimate weapon? A 16-year-old wonder kid named Pelé. During the group stage against a heavily favored Soviet Union, the coach started Pelé alongside the legendary Garrincha. From the opening whistle, Brazil attacked with such relentless, breathtaking magic that this opening sequence was forever dubbed the greatest 3 minutes in the history of football. They went on to win the tournament, becoming the very first team to win a World Cup outside their home continent. Huge game changer. The crucial point to take away here is just how unmatched Brazil's dominance was during this window. They captured 3 out of 4 World Cups between 1958 and 1970. In '62, Garrincha literally put the team on his back after Pelé got injured. And that 1970 squad in Mexico, with Pelé, Carlos Alberto, and Jairzinho, who actually scored in every single game, they played with such mesmerizing rhythm that they are widely considered the greatest team ever assembled. They even earned the right to keep the original Jules Rimet trophy permanently. That's how good they were. Chapter 4. The Wilderness and Tactical Shifts. Let's slow down a bit because a painful dry spell forced a massive change in philosophy. Following Pelé's retirement, Brazil really entered the wilderness. Despite fielding these phenomenally talented, joyful teams, like the '82 squad whose heartbreaking loss to Italy became known as Sarria's disaster, they just couldn't seem to win. So let's see how this builds up. By 1994, their whole philosophy completely shifted. They adopted a really pragmatic, tight defensive scheme.
You had a rugged midfielder named Dunga protecting three center backs, and the roster leaned heavily on European-based players. It was a stark departure from their historic attacking flair, and let me tell you, purists loudly criticized it as a total betrayal of the Brazilian soul.
But you know what? Despite the harsh criticism back home, you really couldn't argue with the results. This pragmatic approach actually ground out wins. It all came down to an incredibly tense, suffocating final against Italy that ended 0-0. In the ultimate test of nerves, a penalty shootout, Italy's Roberto Baggio famously sent the decisive kick soaring way over the crossbar. With that single miss, a 24-year drought ended, and Brazil officially secured their fourth World Cup title.
Chapter 5, The Era of the Three R's. This is the triumphant, joyful return to the beautiful game.
To really understand 2002, you first have to remember 1998, where Brazil suffered a pretty mysterious and shocking collapse in the final after their star striker Ronaldo had a convulsive fit just hours before kickoff. But man, the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan provided the absolute ultimate redemption arc. They brought the magic back to the pitch, led by an attacking trio of absolute legends: Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho. The three R's. Their synergy and flair were simply unstoppable.
And that leads us to a staggering milestone, 5. In 2002, Brazil became the first, and to this very day, the only, national team to win a fifth World Cup. They defeated Germany 2-0 in the final. And Ronaldo, he totally exorcised his demons from 1998 by scoring both of those goals, cementing his legacy as the tournament's top scorer. Just an incredible comeback story.
Chapter 6, Modern Challenges and Enduring Hope. We're entering an era defined by the immense, crushing weight of modern expectations. Everything was supposed to culminate in this perfect fairy tale ending in 2014. For the first time in 64 years, Brazil was hosting the World Cup again. The optimism in the streets was immense, but, so was the pressure. The nation's hopes rested squarely on the shoulders of their brilliant new wonderkid, Neymar. And they fought their way through the tournament, totally fueled by the roar of the home crowd, and managed to reach the semifinals. But then came a shock that literally reverberated around the world. Facing a machine like Germany, and without an injured Neymar or their suspended captain Thiago Silva, the team completely unraveled. It became known as the Mini Razzo, easily the most humiliating defeat in their entire history. By halftime, they were already down an incomprehensible 5-0. When the final whistle blew, the score was 7-1. It was a profound sporting trauma that stunned the nation, leaving fans in tears and prompting massive calls to overhaul Brazilian football from the ground up. Yet even amidst decades of team struggles and frustrating quarterfinal exits, individual Brazilian brilliance absolutely endures. To put that into perspective, Pele's legendary all-time record of 77 goals for the national team stood practically untouchable for over half a century. But recently, Neymar officially surpassed it, reaching 79 goals. It's undeniable proof that the pipeline of world-class, breathtaking talent in Brazil never, ever truly dries up. And this is exactly why this whole history matters so much. A Seleção is not just a sports franchise. They are the ultimate reflection of Brazilian identity. They represent an irrepressible joy, profound creativity, and above all else, unyielding resilience. When you really understand the pulse of this team, you're understanding the beating heart of Brazil itself.
Which leaves us with one final lingering question. Will the eternal favorites finally overcome the modern pressure and capture that elusive sixth star? The history is rich, the passion is unmatched, and the talent, well, the talent is always there. We're just going to have to watch and see what the next chapter holds for the greatest footballing nation on earth. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I will see you next time.